Malabar's northern coast, with its rugged hills, fertile plains, and strategic ports, once belonged to a kingdom that rivaled some of South India's greatest powers. Its rulers were known as Kolathiris, and the land was called Kolathunadu. Join me as we explore the fascinating history of Kolathunadu, from ancient roots to maritime trade, political intrigue to cultural legacy. This is the story of a kingdom lost in time, but not forgotten. The Kolathiri lineage traces its ancestry to the ancient Mushaka dynasty, also known as the Ezhimala kingdom, a dynasty that existed since the Tamil Sangam age, ruling parts of what is now North Kerala. The ancient capital was at Ezhimala, a strategic hill and port location on the Malabar Coast. As centuries passed, following the decline of the major Kerala dynasties, like the Cheras of Mahodayapuram, the Mushaka lineage evolved into what became Kolathunadu, with the ruling house taking the name Kolathiri, or Kolathiri. This transition marked the beginning of a regional power, a kingdom built on coastal trade, maritime contacts, and the strategic importance of northern Malabar. At its greatest extent, Kolathunadu stretched from roughly the Netruvti River, near modern Mangalore, in the north, down to the Korapuzha River, near Kozhikode, in the south, covering much of the northern Malabar coast. The kingdom was bounded on the west by the Arabian Sea and on the east by the Western Ghats, with the hills forming a natural eastern frontier. Its geography, a narrow coastal strip backed by hills, shaped the social, economic, and political character of Kolathunadu. Maritime trade, fishing, coastal commerce, and localized agrarian systems dominated. Politically, the ruling title was Kolathiri Raja, or Kolathiri, the senior-most in the matrilineal royal family. Instead of a rigid centralized empire, Kolathunadu's control often rested on a network of allied principalities and subordinate chieftains, a pattern common in medieval Malabar, reflecting regional political organization rather than large centralized states. Kolathunadu's coastal location and ports made it a hub for maritime trade. The ancient port at Ezhimala, along with later port towns like present-day Kannur, historically Kannur Port, were critical nodes on the Malabar spice route. Through trade in spices, coconut, timber, and maritime links across the Arabian Sea, Kolathunadu connected with Arab merchants, African traders, and later European seafarers. Its position offered strategic advantage over interior kingdoms. However, the narrow geography, limited plains, coastal terrain, and the Ghats meant agriculture had constraints. This made maritime commerce even more crucial for prosperity and political leverage. On the Malabar Coast, Kolathunadu was only one of the regional powers. Others like the southern kingdoms, notably Zamorin of Calicut, Cochin, Kun, often competed for trade, territory, and influence. Historical records speak of rivalry, political and commercial, between Kolathiri rulers and the Zamorins. This rivalry shaped regional politics, alliances, and shifting loyalties along the coast. Additionally, Kolathunadu sometimes exercised suzerainty over smaller principalities and local chieftains, for example, regions like Kolathunadu, Kottayam in Malabar, and others, binding them through tribute, alliances, or kinship ties. This network of loyalties and rivalries defined much of the political ebb and flow of medieval northern Kerala. The Kolathiri dynasty followed a matrilineal succession system common among many Kerala royal families. The senior member of the matrilineal line held the title of Kolathiri Raja. Over centuries, the dynasty underwent internal divisions, giving rise to multiple branches and smaller ruling houses within what was once a unified Kolathunadu. Despite political fragmentation, Kolathunadu maintained cultural influence. The region was part of broader Malabar, a melting pot of Hindu, possibly early Christian, and maritime influences. Its coastal trade fostered contact with foreign merchants, bringing in diverse ideas, art, and social exchange. While fewer grand monuments survive compared to southern Kerala, the legacy lives on in traditions, regional folklore, coastal history, testaments of a maritime kingdom built on outreach, trade, and regional identity. With the arrival of European powers, Portuguese and later Dutch and English, the coastal kingdoms of Kerala, including Kolathunadu, experienced major changes. the strategic port at Kannur gained enormous importance. Initially, Kolathiri rulers sometimes allied with Europeans, seeking advantage against rival regional powers. However, such alliances often came with trade-offs, shifting loyalties and long-term consequences to traditional power structures. Over time, economic and military pressures, internal fragmentation, and changing coastal politics eroded the central power of Kolathunadu. By the 17th century and beyond, multiple local powers and chieftains, including emerging entities like the Arakkal dynasty around Kannur, claimed autonomy or parts of former Kolathiri territory. Thus, the influence of Kolathunadu gradually declined under the dual pressures of colonialism and internal fragmentation. Kolathunadu may not be as prominent today as some great southern kingdoms, but its story matters. A kingdom born from ancient dynasties, forged on maritime trade and coastal culture, a dynasty that ruled through matrilineal traditions, navigated shifting power tides, and adapted to changing politics of medieval Kerala. Kolathunadu's legacy lies not just in its lost dominions or forgotten forts, but in the cultural memory of North Kerala, the rhythms of the coast, the whispers of trade winds that once carried spices to faraway lands. If you enjoyed this dive into the kingdoms of medieval Kerala, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. There are many more such stories waiting to be told.